Akins. I'm the Director of Career and Technical Education in St. Lawrence Lewis BOCES. My office is up in Canton, New York. And I get the pleasure of introducing Mike Woods, our Mike Woods, that we all rely on. And I spent a few minutes this morning just talking to him about our needs, of course, like, Mike, can you do this for us? So he's always there to support us, and Tanner's coming along with that too. So we really appreciate it. But I want to introduce Mike, and he's going to be talking about 2022 and beyond, the update from the TAC. So take it away, Mike.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jane, and thank you everyone so much for spending a little bit of time here with me this morning to highlight the work of TAC and our team. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with all of you. But as I start this conversation, one thing I do want to share with everybody is that I would love for this conversation to be a casual, open conversation, and I would love for you to be thinking as well. I'm going to talk to a lot of things that we have in the works currently with the TAC. I hope that many of you have enjoyed some of the new things that we've infused into our offerings over this past year, but we continue to think how we can best serve the field in our partnership with the NYSID team and really continue to bolster the resources, the offerings, the professional learning that we offer, and also the way that we deliver it. As Jane mentioned a few minutes ago, we are all very much so missing that in-person aspect, but I feel we would be remiss if we didn't realize that a hybrid virtual world is likely to be a thing long into the future. And I think that we learned a lot of ways to connect people far and wide and more often through that virtual presence. So a lot of the things that I'm going to discuss with everybody here in this TAC update are things that we have in the works that we plan to roll out over 2022. And I hope that it excites you as much as what it excites me and our team. So just a quick refresher of who we are and what we do. So the Technical Assistance Center is through the State Education Department, and it is funded through Perkins 5, the Strengthening Career and Technical Education Act. And we know that Perkins 5 has a lot of really straightforward priorities. And that is where a lot of our program development and our offerings have been geared toward it to make sure that we are hitting those priorities of Perkins 5, and to make sure that we are giving the most up-to-date and current information and resources possible to the New York State CTE community. So we're definitely focusing on elevating New York State CTE to the highest level possible. And we find that we have great success in our collaboration, not only with the NYSID team, but also with our varied consultants that we have at the Technical Assistance Center. And most importantly, the relationships and the feedback that we have from you and your staff as we interact with you across the state and learn what your specific needs are, how we can develop offerings specific to you, and how we can continue to grow and expand our offerings as it relates to that. So we know that increasing access to those high quality CTE programs is super important, but we also know that we need to focus on our special populations and those at-risk students. So you'll notice that we do have a lot of offerings and a lot of services and even coaching opportunities whenever it comes to working with students with disabilities in our special populations. We, of course, want to improve career development for all students. We are heavily involved with work-based learning initiatives that are being spearheaded through the NYSID CTE team. And we certainly also want to always support our CTSOs as well. One thing that I'll talk about here in a little bit is bullet point number 4, building that regional collaboration between secondary, post-secondary, and business and industry. We have a pretty strong initiative that is getting ready to lift off the ground, and we're working with a consultant who is very familiar with K-12 and career and technical education. And she and her group are going to be helping us actually develop a playbook, if you will, but I don't want to let the cat fully out of the bag. I will discuss that here in a few moments. I do want to remind you that anything that the Technical Assistance Center does is free to you and free to your staff. So please call on us often. Please never hesitate to make an ask. And if it's something that we can fulfill, we definitely want to be there for you. As I get into our team and who's who at CTE TAC, really consider leaning heavily upon your regional field team associate when it comes to program approvals, reapprovals, Perkins, CLNA, and specialized professional development and coaching opportunities within your schools, your BOCES, and your regions. As I talk about who's who, so the CTE TAC grant that is funded through Perkins 5 through NYSID has been awarded to our parent organization, the Successful Practices Network, for a third time. And so we had the great fortune of having the first 2 contracts, 10 years total, and now we're in our third cycle for the next 5 years. And a lot has happened in the first year of the contract. We've had a lot of staff who have gone on to either new opportunities or they have retired. And if you take a look at the key players on the screen right now who make up our team, there are a ton of new and fresh faces when it comes to the team as we started this latest contract in February of 2021. So just to point out the newbies to the team, and I'm very thankful that we have them. Dr. Connie Spohn retired, and filling her shoes, we have Mindy Iannotti. And so she is our assistant director who began with us at the end of September. And we're very fortunate to have her and her leadership with the team. In addition to that, if you're looking at the field team associates, we have 5 new field team associates with this current contract. So we recently welcomed Karen Watt to cover Long Island and Di Hessler to cover the Capital Region. We also have Steve Perry, who is in Southern New York, and Tracy Jericho, who is Western New York. They started with us at the beginning of this contract. And then Tanner Thompson joined our team in November of 2021. And of course, we still have Marsha Iverson at the helm of New York City and Yonkers. Gretchen Schwalbach, who has been an icon in our central office. She has been elevated to our senior center specialist, and she is actually focusing strongly on program management. And we've actually expanded the team slightly to add Julia Madalena to the team, and she's our communications coordinator. So I know many of you get our e-blasts and our newsletters that come out, and Julia has a really strong hand in the development of our newsletters and all things communication. And then also 2 other individuals helping us at the central office. We have Deb Light, who handles a lot of our operations, and Jerry Pednati, who handles a lot of our data analysis. So with that being said, I want to talk about one thing that I'm super excited about that we plan to roll out at the end of June, early July, and that is asynchronous professional development and professional learning. We partnered with a company called Dreamsydoo. And one thing that we realized as we embraced this virtual presence very, very strongly through COVID, but we took it to the next level this past year in offering synchronous live sessions through Zoom throughout the year, 80+ sessions in total. And we were thinking to ourselves, how can we take this one step further? And I've had the conversation with some of our staff that I want to be the CTE version of Netflix, where we are binge worthy. And I really have impressed upon, especially our professional development committee, of how do we offer dynamic asynchronous professional learning that our New York State CTE community can access at any given time, and they can work at it on their own pace, because we realize that synchronous learning is great, but trying to pigeonhole folks into a set time frame isn't always ideal for everybody. So how can we take it one step further? And so through Dreamsydoo, we are currently creating content that is geared toward CTE educators of all content areas, administrators and supervisors, work-based learning coordinators, and counselors. And so some sample topics are assessment data to drive staff instruction, attracting, developing, and retaining outstanding CTE educators, culturally responsive teaching, and using labor market data in CTE in terms of your classroom instruction. Now, when I say there's 3 different focus areas, that doesn't mean that there's not opportunities for cross-pollination. So whenever you sign up to access our asynchronous platform, you will know what courses or modules are available to you. And if something piques your interest, just because you don't necessarily fit into maybe the educator category, that doesn't mean you can't access the professional learning and development that is in there. But I'm super excited to see what comes to fruition with this overall project. And I'm hoping that this summer launch goes really, really well. We get a lot of buy-in, and we're going to continually look to expand and to grow the professional learning with that. As I transition to the next slide, it's going to go into a short 2-minute video of Dreamsydoo, and it's going to give you a snippet of what the platform is all about. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this conversation, this is 100% free to you and your staff. And so one thing that could potentially happen with this, let's say there is a professional development day coming up within your schools, and you have an hour or 2 that you're looking to put some good professional learning into. This could be an avenue where you could have your staff sign up for a session or a course, work through it during that time while they're in your buildings, and then we can provide them with CTLE credit if that's something that you're not able to provide to them at that point in time. But we'll transition into this short little video, and then we'll pick it back up once the video is done playing. Give me 1 second, because I think I did a Zoom snafu where I did not share my volume, and I want to make sure that it's there. Okay, we should be good to go. Sorry about that little commercial break.
Howdy, I'm Jeremy Gorman, co-founder and chief tinkerer at Dreamsydoo.
And I'm Josh Schwartzman, co-founder and chief techie.
When we founded Dreamsydoo, online learning had become stale and boring. We saw so many people feeling isolated, like they were alone on a deserted island, taking some passive online training with a few PDFs and videos.
At training companies, we're really struggling to put together compelling and engaging online or blended training and coaching, with no solutions to suit their needs.
So we decided to bring the humanity back to the experience. Now, instead of cobbling together a clunky solution or using a platform not designed for them, training companies and learners have a user-friendly and elegant experience for coaching and training, all in one platform.
We truly care about people's whole person growth and our mission to unlock human potential in people, communities, and the world.
Using our human-centered approach, line by line in code and client by client, we started to learn from our clients and experiment with making online training fun, engaging, and motivating. That became our product's DNA as well as our teams.
Our web and mobile apps enable training and coaching experiences that are embedded with interaction, practice, and reflection.
We added interactive live video and created dynamic responses to learning prompts, done on your own time and later supported by others.
That's why our engagement levels are 450% better than the industry on average. So come and join the Dreamsydoo family.
And see why clients and learners are raving about their experience on Dreamsydoo.
All right, so that is just a little bit of a teaser for you of what Dreamsydoo is. And like I said, our plan is to launch Dreamsydoo with our CTE content at the end of June, early July, do a little soft launch this summer, and then really ramp it up as we get ready for the 22-23 academic year. Here are some screenshots just to show you what the platform looks like inside of it. The best way that I can think to explain it to folks is I go back to my college days, which was a handful of years ago now, and working through Blackboard, but it is much more user-friendly than what Blackboard is. Others have compared it to a Canvas, if that is something that resonates with you. But essentially, the courses and modules will be loaded into the platform. There are opportunities for live engagement. So I know that I mentioned that maybe you have a conference day where you're looking to fill a 90-minute to 2-hour period. If we are aware of that desire, we could work with our consultants who developed the course to see if we could have a live Zoom session during that time where your staff could interact with them based on the content and the topic that they are currently going through. But this does allow for various ways to assess, to engage the depth of learning through the PD, and it also allows for our expert consultants to provide feedback to participants as they journey through the modules and through the overall course. So again, very excited to see this come to life. A lot of the benefits are you can do it at your own pace. If you want to do it at 1 o'clock in the morning, more power to you, but you can come and go as you please and chip away at it little by little. It's kind of like, how do you eat an elephant? Of one bite at a time. Content, again, is being developed by our content experts and our consultants that we've been using over the past year and years prior, engaging varied delivery models. And the one thing that is super nice is even though folks are not engaging live per se, we are able to track time within the platform, which allows us to be able to validate the ability to offer CTLE credit to folks, which I know is always a huge benefit and a huge perk. I mentioned about building the pipeline for secondary, post-secondary business and industry. I know many of you are doing items similar to this because it is a part of the program approval process and also a part of the CLNA process. But looking at the state holistically, how can we create a playbook, if you will, that gives really good opportunities, feedback, and guidelines to make consortiums either within a district's bounds or with those component districts, or how can we create those microcosms, if you will, that are micro-regional or even fully regional, whether it's all of central and northern New York, whether it's all of western New York, maybe it's the Buffalo region, maybe it's the Finger Lakes region. We're not 100% sure how to flesh this out yet, but we are in the investigatory stage and we're doing a lot of research and development. And our goal is to create that fluid conduit and consortium between secondary, post-secondary, and business and industry partners across all regions of New York State. And like I said, we want to develop that playbook that has successful strategies in bringing the necessary people and resources to the table. And at the end of the day, as we know, we always want to try to have what is best for students for their learning and making them career and college ready at the end of the day. And having the right people at the table is really key in that process. And like I said, we're going to focus on aligning CTE programs to regional labor market needs and expand regional articulation agreements and dual enrollment opportunities. Enhanced resources. We know that everybody loves the internet, so it's a great resources for quick information and to get things that we need when we're looking for help and support. And so we really tried to embrace this past year of developing resources and sharing points and what are the things that the field really needs to kind of take, you know, if you will, a lift off of your shoulders. We know that everybody is tired, everybody is fatigued. It's been a very tiring 2 years at this point in time, working our way through the pandemic. And our goal at the TAC is to make that burden a little less on everybody, and anything we can do to take some lift off of shoulders and provide resources to everybody, we are happy to do so. So creating resources and dealing with special populations, diversity, equity, inclusion, we know is something that is really relevant right now. So how can we provide resources and tools related to that, working with our special populations, at-risk students, thinking of non-traditional, maybe homeless, so on and so forth. So stay tuned for that, but we have a lot of conversations and irons in the fire right now in terms of continually looking to develop resources and tools that assist the field at the end of the day. I mentioned earlier to really lean on the regional field team associates. We have 6 of them all across the state, and they are always at the ready to assist you and to provide anything that they can in terms of program approval, reapproval, professional development, and also coaching opportunities. As I mentioned previously, please reach out, please lean on them. If you have a need, if you have a request, if it's something we can fulfill, we are always happy to do that. We know that many of you rely heavily on us when it comes to conference days and having speakers, presenters come in, whether it be virtually, whether it be in person. We are always happy to try to fill that void and to provide top-notch professional development at the end of the day. And we also focus on the post-secondary side of the house as well. So we are always looking for opportunities to assist the Office of Post-Secondary Education and also to provide resources to our secondary partners. So newly updated web resources. I'm going to spend some time going through some things on our website. I hope that you find that to be a great resource to you. I don't mean to let the cat out of the bag too early, but Tanner Thompson and Brittany Kitterman have actually been preparing for tomorrow's PD session for program approval, and it's going to focus a lot on articulation and affiliation agreements. And Tanner has spent quite a bit of time of developing a microsite, which will be launched tomorrow, and going through various resources. So we are always looking to see what type of articulation agreements exist out there. And so some folks in the field have taken the opportunity to self-populate a lot of these resources, but Tanner and Brittany have also looked a lot at the data that we currently have and how can we get a sortable, a viewable resource out there where folks can actually see what schools have what articulation agreements, how can they make that connection, how can they build that conduit. And I truly feel this will be a great resource to you. And again, it will be made available after tomorrow's program approval session. And we hope that you will consider joining us for that. If you're new to the TAC, who we are and what we do, and maybe you're not sure who your regional field team associate is, this map actually breaks it down. So I'll focus on upstate New York at first. You can see all of the counties here in Western New York where Tracy focuses on. Tanner goes all the way from the Pennsylvania border all the way up to Canada. So he is central Northern New York and parts of the southern tier. Di is also going to touch the tip of Canada, and she goes all the way down to the lower border of Greene and Columbia County. Steve is going to focus on the lower Hudson, which we consider southern New York. Marcia is in New York City and Yonkers, and then Karen is going to handle all of Long Island. So if there's ever a question you're not sure who to reach out to, this map is also available on our main website, but this is how our team is broken up throughout the state to provide resources and assistance to you. But again, here's all their contact information, and I will make sure that our contact information is available to you at the end of our conversation today. So again, this site will be launched tomorrow after tomorrow's PD session. Other things that we are super proud of this year. So Tracy and Silly Rueda from our NYSID team, they really focus diligently on creating a series focused on Perkins and the CLNA process this year. And I'm so thankful that both of them partnered together to do this, because I think that we've created a really awesome resource through Google. And this is an open resource available to everyone where you can actually access the sessions, the PowerPoints, and different resources that were shared during those sessions to help everybody get through that process with as much ease and access as possible. And again, our goal is always to provide as many resources as possible to you, that these big tasks, which we know they take time, hopefully they see less burdensome and less daunting whenever you and your teams take a look at the work that needs to be done around it. And we always want to share those resources, because let's face it, sharing is caring. Why should we always reinvent the wheel if the resources are there? We know in CTE we love to share, and so here at the TAC we want to provide those sharing resources to you as well. The other resource that's been developed is a similar shared drive, but this one focuses on the program approval process. If you attended the first session, I know that the first session was like a 50,000 foot view of what is CTE program approval. And the reason why we took that approach is because we really wanted to look at it from, if I'm starting from ground zero, I walked into my building this year and I really don't know what the heck this process is all about. We wanted to make sure that we approached it from an angle that we could keep the novice administrator or supervisor or CTE leader hooked into it, but also be respectful of our seasoned professionals who have gone through this before. So again, really providing resources available to you and the various links, the various connections, and always providing that session recording as well. That way we can go back and we can review that. And so I'm really thankful that many individuals on our team have worked in creating that resource for everyone. And again, it's always done in collaboration with the NYSID team to make sure that we are always providing the most current and up-to-date resources possible. One other exciting thing that we've done over this past year is we've always had CTSO support for the student organizations in terms of an incentive program. And they do various programs within their organizations to help promote the experiences of those youth within their programs. But one area that we saw for an opportunity was the development of a professional organization incentive program. ACTEA, along with many other groups, took us up on our offer to submit an application and to put some really great ideas and projects forward, which I'll touch on a few here in just a moment. But our goal was to support the work that you're doing among your membership and even to non-members to really hit those targets of Perkins 5 and to really help bolster the programs and the activities that you're doing to grow your organizations, to provide professional development and coaching opportunities for your membership, how to attract new members and provide resources to them. Because at the end of the day, our hope is for everyone to have high success and to have the best resources available to them, because we know that that is a trickle-down effect. And our end goal is always student learning and how we provide the best resources, the best education experiences possible for our learners, again, looking to make them college and career ready. So some of the examples here in ACTEA, I know that you focus a lot on your C team. And so your mentoring program, implementing social emotional learning elements into content and curriculum, programming specifically targeting middle level CTE and how can we expand that, improving work-based learning opportunities, Tech Ed TED Talks for the Technology Educators Association. And one thing that I think is really cool is the health science educators. They're actually going through a 6-week program where they are doing hands-on through Zoom. I actually started their Zoom for them on Monday evening, and they were super excited and super jazzed because they had been sent their resources from the lead consultant, and a lot of it has to do with working with different colored pieces of clay and working on internal anatomical structures and how the different systems connect to one another. And I got several text pictures after the fact, and just to see the educators far and wide to be so excited and so empowered by that virtual learning, even though they were all many miles apart, was a really cool thing to witness. So I would say that I am, from my perspective, super proud of the ideas and concepts that were put forward by all professional organizations. And I truly think that everyone took to heart what the mission and what the goal was and the call to action. And I think a lot of really great programs have been developed as such. And the Technical Assistance Center, with support of NYSID, is super happy to provide resources to you to be able to fund those programs and that professional learning and professional development. So kudos to all of you for thinking outside of the box of what your specific needs are and how that influences students at the end of the day. So before I go into this, I wanted to preface again, I really want to know more of what your needs are and what we can do for you, or any questions you have related to anything I've talked about thus far of what's going to happen in 2022. And that's not the end game either. That isn't to say that new things won't pop up over this next year that come into the mix, and we continue to expand and to look for opportunities to support the field. But in a few moments, I'm going to open up the floor for a conversation, but I do want to revert back to our main website, because there are things that we do have available to you, and I want to make sure that you're aware of them. So number one, if you've not gotten our newsletter, I really encourage you to hit that media tab in the top right corner of our website and to subscribe to our newsletter. As I mentioned, Gretchen and Julia have done a really nice job of organizing pertinent resources and to get pertinent information out to the field. We send a monthly newsletter, and we also send PD reminders. I promise you, if you sign up for our newsletter, it's not going to be like Bed Bath & Beyond. They spam me about 5 times a day. I can assure you we are not going to be spammers and fill your inbox. But we do make sure that we send pertinent information to you in a timely manner. If you got the newsletter that came out yesterday, one thing that we've really been focusing on is highlighting all the great things happening across New York State in terms of CTE. So if you have successes that you want to share, we welcome you to share that with us. We want to highlight your schools. We want to highlight partnerships that you have. We want to highlight student successes. So never hesitate to send something our way, because we can always look to pop it into our newsletter to give you some PR across the state. And who knows, some of the things you're doing might be something that creates a network or a partnership between you and a neighboring school, or even a school at the opposite end of the state. And I think it's a great way to get exposure and to create possible networks and collaboration. We did go through an entire revision of our program approval page under the planning section. One thing that is super nice is we have directly linked to all the different tabs that have been put together by the NYSID team. And as we know, they've created a lot of resources over the past few years that are super straightforward and helpful. There are tutorial videos, but then we as a Technical Assistance Center went a couple levels deeper, and we talked about those different components. We talked about what are some tips and tricks? What are some examples? So I really encourage you, when you have time, to check out our program approval page. Again, it's under the planning tab. And that is something that I feel that would be of a great resource to you. And you can look at the different items that are available there. I apologize. Sinuses are kicking in a little bit here in the moment. So if I sound nasally, I apologize for that. Another area I want to draw you to are the Life and Career Abilities tab under Instruction. A few years ago, we actually developed a rubric maker, and it's for those professional skills and those life and career abilities skills. And so if you were to go to this tab and open that rubric database, you can actually go down through. There are tons of options and categories. I'm just going to select a few here for you. And as you read the descriptions, what the focus areas are, where we hope that students are in terms of beginning stages all the way through exemplary, this is a way that we can assess some of those life and career ability skills and have that one-on-one conversation with students. So as you go through the matrix and you select them, you can actually then get to the bottom. As I said, there are many, many to go through. As you notice, there's over 6 tabs here. Once you make your selections, you can review and edit those selections. And then you have the opportunity to actually create a rubric. So it comes into a nice little format like this, where the instructor can sit down with the students. You can go through the different checkbox. You can use this as a growth tool with students over time. And if they're developing, how can we get them to proficient when it comes to this one area that we're trying to measure student learning and advancement? So again, this is just another tool that is available to you under the Instruction tab. And again, it is the Life Career Abilities tab. We also have a lot of resources available in terms of middle level. It does connect back to the content modules that are also available on the NYSID website. As we know, that is something that we focus on for that 1 3/4 credit. And then under professional resources, one thing that I think is super valuable to the field is to be able to view our archived PD sessions. So again, central office staff between Gresham and Julia, they've done a marvelous job of making sure that all of our online professional learning, the recordings have been archived all the way through 6 days ago. We are always making sure that we are keeping everything up to date. So the recorded presentation, if there are any accompanying PowerPoints or resources that would be valuable to viewers, we make sure that we get that there as well. So again, this goes all the way back through the end of August, I believe at this point in time. And there should be, by the end of this academic year, over 80+ different recorded sessions touching on all sorts of different topics. And with that being said, I'm going to take you to our PD calendar, which I'm sure many of you have visited before to register for our PD offerings. But these are how we organized everything. And these are all clickable links, how you can go and access the different sessions. As you can see later today, we have a session that is going to focus on Google Sites as portfolios. So that might be of interest to you. John Redeker does a really nice job with Google and the various capabilities of it. But a lot of different things coming up here through the next 3 months of the school year. And we are in the midst of looking at our evaluations from this past year. One of the questions we ask is, what else could we offer? And so we are really going to take that to heart and look at that as we start to develop the 22-23 synchronous virtual professional learning calendar. So stay tuned for that. We will make sure that we get that rolled out over the summer months here. Sharing and support conversations. Jane actually had a conversation with me pre-session, and she asked if we were going to do the statewide sharing and support session again, where we bring all the content areas together. And the short answer is yes. Our goal is to bring that back in June during Regents Week. The date is to be determined. One thing, if you could, with the group that we have here this morning, and we will make sure that we get a pulse out to the field via email through the field team associates of what date might be optimal to do that. So in our minds, we had thought about June 22nd, but we also realized that that is nearing too close to the end of the time that your teachers are in your buildings. So throwing out a secondary date, I do want to throw out June 16th. I believe it is a Thursday. So again, I will ask the field team associates to request that feedback from the field, but short answer is yes. We found great success in that event last year. We had over 700 people join and involve themselves in a great conversation. The question is when for this year, and when is best to connect with most everyone to have a successful virtual event. In addition to that, I do want to highlight one thing that we dabbled with this year is the offering of field team office hours. And so Tracy affectionately calls it her coffee club, which I love. But once a month, they hold up to a 1 hour free-for-all open door type session. And that is via Zoom. And that is your opportunity to connect with your field team associate to ask questions related to all things CTE. I know that we are quickly coming up on many deadlines when it comes to the CLNA, reapprovals, Perkins applications, so on and so forth. Really capitalize, if you can, on that hour that they're offering monthly to join and to have that conversation, to ask questions, and to also connect with fellow CTE professionals who might be encountering similar hurdles or similar obstacles or have similar questions. Our goal through this virtual presence has always been to provide networking opportunities. As I mentioned in the beginning of the conversation, we we don't like virtual, but virtual does have some great aspects of it. You can never take away that in-person interaction and being in a room with other human beings. There's just something so beautiful about that. But I do feel the virtual aspect has connected people who might have never connected before. And those bonds and those communication avenues have been super cool to see as we've connected people from every corner of New York State and even brought people in from out of state. So I think that those are super cool opportunities. With that being said, I think I've covered a lot of the salient points that I was hoping to cover during our conversation here today. Before I go into the tell me more and what can we do for you, what are your specific needs and the feedback you have for us, I will make sure that you have access to this PowerPoint presentation. It does have all the different hyperlinks in it for the different sites that I've showed you. It also has the email addresses for all of our field team associates who, again, are here to help you, to work with you side by side, help you with timelines. Anything you need, please, please, please do go knocking on their doors and request the assistance and the help. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with you over the many, many years, and especially in this new role as director of the TAC. I'm super excited about the fresh faces that have been added to our team and all the new talent that has been brought to it. And I'm also thankful for those who have been here and the talent and experience that they have always brought to the team. And as I mentioned before, our goal at the end of the day is always to provide top-notch concierge service and experience to all of you, and to always have a great collaborative partnership with the NYSID team, and to make sure that we are always looking at what is best for New York State CTE and how can we raise it to the next level. I do see that there are some things in the chat. I'm not sure what's there because I've not looked at it, but at this point in time, I do open it for open conversation. If anybody from my team has anything that I missed or you think is worth sharing, I welcome you to come off mute and to share with everybody. But again, questions, comments, concerns, feedback. We grow from your feedback, and that's how we grow as an organization to best assist you and your staff in the field.
So there's no specific questions in the chat, Mike, just some observations and you know, thank yous. So if there are any questions, this is a good time. You were that thorough, Mike.
Right? It's also early in the morning on a Wednesday.
There you
Happy
go.
hump day, everybody.
Well, I want to thank you, Mike. It was very informative. I know for one that we don't go on the TAC website as often as probably we should, and I thank you for bringing us through. You know, I like looking at those rubrics. I've got a couple notes that we're going to be starting to do that, but we really appreciate and learn from your partnership and lean on you a lot. So from us, I want to thank you.
You are welcome. It's our pleasure. And like I said, we're always here. We're always at the ready, and no ask is too great or too small.
Okay, well, thank you very much. If there's no questions, everyone have a great day. And hopefully
Thank
I'll
you
see
all.
you at
We'll
another
talk soon.
session.
Take care,
Bye
gang.
now.